name is Christopher Payne, and I am an architectural and industrial photographer.
Yeah, because she actually does that. They have to monitor like how much is, they have to load it in the hopper, and then they have to kind of shake them up a bit so they all work their way down. Sometimes they get stuck, but I wanted to get a human hand in there because I don't, in all the other pictures I made years ago, there weren't, a lot of these machines are just machines and they don't have that human element. So seeing her do that was, you know, sometimes these things just happen spontaneously for a good reason. Yeah, yeah.
Famosa. So we'll get some pictures of you. They're good. Muy bonita.
I'm trained as an architect, but ironically, I had no interest in photography when I was a kid growing up in Boston. My dad was an amateur photographer, and my interest really was the old architecture of Boston and the infrastructure, especially the old subways. I didn't buy my first real camera until I was 30. I was just out of grad school and I was working during the week in an architecture firm, and on the weekends I was embarking on a personal project to document these abandoned electrical substations that had once powered the New York City subway system. I was trying to draw these massive machines which I didn't understand, and the drawings were a way of understanding them. But I found that I didn't have time to finish these drawings on site, and so I had to take pictures. But gradually, I enjoyed making the pictures more than I did the drawings. And so I would lock myself inside these decrepit old structures, and I would use them as this laboratory to learn how to make pictures and use lighting. But most people thought I was crazy, but I thought I was the luckiest person in the world, because in a city of millions, I had found something that I could call my own.
I feel like today is variations of the same picture. And hopefully the best one will emerge by the end of the day.
Walking into a factory where you can't see end to end, it's overwhelming. And trying to find the right picture is like looking up at this beautiful tree and trying to pick out the right leaf to photograph. Moments that are unique to that place and process, and this could be a particular machine that's really cool, or a detail that is kind of emblematic of the whole. When something is almost finished and still in a state of deconstruction, so that it's familiar, but sort of also abstract, so that we see it in a new and interesting way. Ideally, I'm looking for that aha, so that's how they do it moment. Given my architectural background, I can't but help look for an underlying geometry around which I can organize and compose the photo. And here I chose to use the repetition of the pencils as this compositional tool. And by looking at it from above and getting that repetition to create a grid, I'm making it more understandable. When possible, I use dramatic lighting to focus on the worker, to create theatrical effect, and also to obscure all the visual clutter that is omnipresent in factories. One of my favorite pictures is of the welders welding a bus frame at the BYD factory in California. And here, the frame of the bus is literally a grid, a framework upon which I was able to compose the photo. Once that was set up, it becomes almost like a stage set upon which the actors, the welders, can do their part. And so there's this rigid kind of composition and then this organic activity happening within it.
I'll just wait for these guys to move out of the way. And then we'll go do that one, do this one, that's still a nice one. Yep.
In 2010, I discovered an old yarn mill in Maine that reminded me of the state hospital workshops that I had photographed for my book, Asylum. And while those places had long been abandoned, this mill was still intact, fully functioning, like a scene out of the past. And I returned there and got to know the employees, and they told me about other mills in New England and in the Northeast, and gradually this project took off. But from the textile project, I moved on to other industries, other factories. And so gradually I started traveling around the country, photographing this and that, and I realized that the story I was trying to tell was much broader than one place or one industry. It was really about the nation as a whole. And that's how Made in America started. I don't consider myself a portrait photographer, but I love making environmental portraits of people who've been doing this for a lifetime, immersed in what they do best. I want to honor them and distill in one frame a lifetime of work and craftsmanship.
I know you. What's going on, man? How you doing, man? Good to see you. You all right? You're down here now. You're everywhere. You're everywhere. I know her.
There you go.
Let's see if she remembers me. I know. I'm sorry. We're intruding on your lunch break.
It's been a long time, yeah.
It's been a long time, right?
I have that picture, yes. Probably 32 years. It's a long time.
32 years here doing this, right?
No.
Not us.
Okay, let's see what the key wants. Now it's taking the weight, but is it going to give me a return? I don't like see the hesitation? So instead of 3 large, it's taking 2.5. And that's what I'm gonna put in there. I marked 2.5. The next one might don't take the same thing, because they're all different. So you have to find the right position, and that's what I'm looking for. You'll know when it's too much, or you'll know when something is wrong, because the hesitation will show you. So you have to pay attention to it to see.
It has been years since I photographed that first yarn mill in Maine when I began this journey. And yet, still, every time I enter a factory, I still feel that same sense of possibility. And I wonder why this project still resonates with me, why I still love to do it. And it's probably because there's always some new process to learn about, some place that I haven't visited, or some old factory waiting to be discovered. But I think at its core, the reason why I like it and why I continue to work on it is because it's about the making of things. Made in America is a celebration of the transformation of raw materials into useful objects, and the human skill and mechanical precision needed to give these materials form and purpose. But it's also about community. Every day, people of varying backgrounds, skill sets, and ages coming together to work towards a common goal.